Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Relationships. How long do you think you can be without intimacy in a relationship because your significant other keeps finding excuses to not do it? Well, this one's from user throwaway787766. Wife, 31 female, and I, 34 male, are broken and I'm thinking of divorce. So, a little backstory. My, 34 male, wife, 31 female, and I have been together for 5 years and married for 3. The past 2 years have been pretty stressful for her, and me, as she was finishing up a master's in a really competitive program. The last year of the program was last year, and it really pushed her hard. During that time, our time in the bedroom dwindled away to nothing, as she was always either studying or in class. She finished the master's June of last year. I was expecting that things would pick up in the bedroom again after it was over, but it hasn't. She still turned me down all the time, stressing about finding a job. It's to the point where the last time we were intimate was April of 2018. Every time I try to initiating or doing a date night or being romantic, it always ends up with her being too tired. I even told her I'd settle for dirty talk every once in a while, but she didn't feel like doing that either. I suggested we go to counseling. She said she would find a counselor she liked. I waited, asked again, she called me selfish, I gave up. I lost my mind for the first couple of months and then decided to just focus on myself and start working out and keep doing my own thing. Before the lack of intimacy, we had a pretty good relationship, but now it's gotten to be more like roommates than husband and wife. Fast forward to this past weekend. We went out to watch the Super Bowl with another couple who are good friends of ours. While we were at the sports bar, we met and started hanging out with a random group of people also watching the game. A very attractive woman who was part of that group kept winding up next to me and making small talk with me and looking at me in a way that was obviously flirting. I kept it clean, but definitely kept up the banter. When the girl went to the bathroom, my wife pulled me over and said, in front of our couple friends, something to the effect of, "It's obvious that girl is into you. I don't want you talking to her." Something about the way she said it to me triggered something, and I just came back with something like, "I'm just happy to have the attention, baby. It's been a long time, almost a year now." She looked shocked, then angry, then angrier. Our friends just turned around and started watching the game again. And right then, the other girl came back and introduced herself to my wife. My wife walked away and the wife of our friend followed her. We left the bar soon after and shared an Uber back with the other couple. We got into a fight, we never fight, about her lack of interest in going to counseling, and she told me that she thought I was selfish and not understanding. We haven't talked much since. I don't want to end my marriage, but I don't see any compromise in her at all. Before I start divorce, I want to know if there's anything we can do to save this. Thanks. Well, OP, it sounds to me that she's kind of checked out in the relationship, but still kind of wants to keep you. It's strange that she doesn't want to have any kind of intimacy with you, but she gets jealous when somebody else talks to you. I would say be honest. You need to tell her how you feel. And after that, if she changes nothing, makes no effort, doesn't want to go to counseling, and doesn't even acknowledge you, then yeah, you should probably bring up divorce. But that's just my opinion. Let's take a look at a few community comments and then we can move on with the updates. Andrew Waldron says, "It's done. She won't go to therapy, she's not interested in negotiation, compromise, or discussion. She has no problem letting her control over you show in public. You've been working on you, going to the gym. You've been either A, trying to attract your wife, or B, getting ready for after the divorce. A has failed. It is time to move on to B. Divorce. You are too young and there is nothing here worth saving." La Mama Loca says, "A request for counseling can never be selfish because counseling is for both of you and for the relationship. I'd tell her that counseling needs to happen and you do the work of finding one and scheduling an appointment. Maybe she's suffering from depression. Did she find a job? How is her mood? Frequently tired and blah?" I Choose Straws says she needs to understand that when you're in a relationship, you have certain responsibilities and demands that need to be taken care of. If she isn't meeting you halfway, then she isn't holding up her end of the bargain. She says you're being selfish, and she is correct. However, she doesn't realize that she is also being selfish by denying your needs. I've always disliked the "I don't have time" types of excuses because your situation exacerbated when you went to the bar. That's all time you two could have been romantic, or at the least primal. Be upfront. Tell her that you both need intimacy. It's part of being human. If she is that opposed, then she isn't the person you thought she was, and it's time to move on. But before you move on, you need to talk to her about all the things you need and what she needs from you. If you can't agree on some sort of middle ground, then you need to move on. Okay, well, what do you guys think OP should do at this point? And while we think about that, let's continue with the updates. Someone messaged me asking for a follow-up on my original post here. I've started, stopped, and rewritten this post a few times over several days already, so if it seems a little incoherent, sorry. Lots went on, but I'll keep it as short as possible. That Saturday, after my original post, I tried again to talk to her about what I felt was missing in our relationship. This did not go well. The next Saturday, I went out and rented an apartment with a lease starting March 1st. I went back home and told her I would be moving out. I said I did not know what was going on with her, and since she did not want to do anything about it, I wanted a divorce. I loved her, but I couldn't live like a hostage anymore. She got really quiet and then started sobbing and telling me that I was cruel and selfish and that my focus on intimacy was the issue and that I should go to counseling for that, again. I was hoping that she would have said something else, but since she didn't, I just started packing a few things for work. She asked me where I was going and told her I would be staying at my parents' for the next few weeks until my lease started. As soon as I told her I would be staying at my parents', she got really quiet and asked me if I'd told my parents yet. Sirens started going off in my head immediately. I said that I had not. This was a lie. Then she got quiet for about 5 minutes, and right when I was about to walk out the door, she asked me not to leave. She wanted to talk. And then she told me something I didn't want to hear. She'd cheated on me with a guy in her class last year and got an STD. Nothing fatal, but not the kind you can get rid of. She told me that it only happened one time, but I'm sure that's not true. I was numb. One of my female friends told me that my wife cheating was a possibility, but I didn't believe it. I didn't say anything while wife talked, mostly because my mind was reeling, but also because I didn't really have anything to say. I realize now that I had said everything I had to say over the course of the previous year, and now I had nothing. After she finished talking, I just told her, okay. I was numb, and I left the house with her in it and went to my parents' house about 2 hours away. I told her I would be back, but have not been back to the house or seen her since. I got to my parents' house and told them everything. They told me they could tell something was wrong for a few months and that they were sorry. I had planned to go back to the house, but my mother told me that if I was moving forward with divorce, that I shouldn't go. So my mother and father went and got a few personal items for me. Everything else I left. I also contacted a lawyer and told him to contact wife to start the divorce. Wife has called me on cell and at work a few times and even emailed me, but I didn't read it. She also had one of her friends call me and tell me to please talk to my wife and that she is very sorry, but as soon as I realized it was a friend of hers, I hung up. I have 2 weeks off coming up in April and I plan to go to Vegas with a buddy. My parents and friends have been very supportive and I honestly feel better than I have felt in a long time. I never thought I would get divorced, and that first week I felt like a failure because I knew my marriage was over. But my father told me something that I have said to myself over and over. Someone else doing the wrong thing makes them a failure, not you. I hung out this weekend with a girl from my job who I've always gotten along with. She saw me at work last week without my ring and asked me what happened. I told her that my wife and I were divorcing. She gave me a hug in the office, and that hug felt like the best thing in the world. After work this weekend, we went out for a few drinks and just hung out and had fun, and ended up back at my place. I'm not ready for, nor do I want a relationship, obviously, but it felt so good to be in bed with a woman where it felt so relaxed and accepting. I felt completely at ease. I know the divorce is going to be tough, but this weekend, even after all that's happened, I feel like it'll be worth it. Wow, OP, well that's a twist. I mean, we could have been thinking she was depressed or something, or checked out of the relationship, but she had actually cheated on you and got an STD. Yuck. On top of that, she made you feel inadequate and said that you should go to counseling to fix this and that you were just fixated in intimacy. Yeah, after this update, I lost any possible empathy I could have had for your wife. Or ex-wife by this point, right? In any case, OP, you do you. Go to Vegas, have fun, don't get married in Vegas, and just move on with your life. That's all I have to say. What about you guys? What do you think OP should do? And now it's time for us to move on to the final update. Last update for the people who messaged me and wanted to know how things were going with the divorce. I'll answer all the questions here. Have I talked to wife or seen her since I left the house? I haven't communicated or seen soon-to-be ex at all since I moved out. For the first few weeks, she tried calling me, but I'd stopped answering any unknown numbers. She left me too, if I recall correctly, crying messages, but soon after the lawyers got involved, those stopped. Is the divorce going smoothly? Through a lawyer, I offered spousal support amount he suggested in lump sum. She could have everything in the house. I tried to make it as simple as possible and keep the conversation to a minimum. About a month or so after starting, I found out that she has been telling her friends that I had been emotionally abusive to her, that I kept pressuring her to do intimate things that she didn't want to do, that I wasn't supportive of her pursuing a graduate degree. All of this is a lie, of course, and I almost called her to tell her to quit her bull. This is the one point where I can say that I felt anger, but thankfully, my parents and friends just told me to let the lawyer handle it and not let her get me to call her, and to not lose my cool for even 1 second until the divorce was done. Also, through mutual friends, I found out that she has a dating profile on a dating app and is dating. Lawyer tells me this is a good thing, and I tend to agree. There is a lot of information lawyers ask about. It's surreal to have someone you hardly know asking you very specific details about your intimate life, finances, and other very, very personal things. Overall, this part of the process has been the hardest for me and has left me drained. But on the plus side, the lawyer thinks this will be done in a few weeks, so I will be finally free. Did I tell my friends that she cheated? Yes, and that she got an STI, and that we hadn't slept together in a year. I had to explain why I just up and left. I was very candid. I am not going to carry any shame for her. How much is divorce costing? I can't say exactly. Between 100k and 150k for one-time buyout. Did I get an STI from her? No, I had myself checked once, right after she told me, and another time since, and I'm clear. Would I get married again? Emphatic no. The last 3 years were emotional draining for me, and emasculating. Every stereotype I'd heard about marriage before I got married has come to pass. My wife was entitled and didn't hold herself accountable in the marriage. She kept reminding me of her rights and my responsibilities. She felt that everything bad that happened to us was my fault, and she insisted that her feelings become my facts. And worst of all, she would easily project her mistakes and guilt onto me and make me carry them instead of dealing with them like a grown-up. And I see this everywhere I look. I was raised to believe that husband and wife were in things together. responsible for each other. But when I look around, all I see is the message that women do too much and men are the problem. That women don't need men. That if a wife is unhappy in her marriage, then it's the man's fault, and maybe she can do better. I see it in some of my friends' marriages. My friends' wives just casually disrespect their husbands all the time, and I felt that from my soon-to-be ex 100%. My mother told me that women today compete more than cooperate, or something like that, and I can see that 100% when I look at my buddies and their marriages, and mine. Most of my friends have kids and they feel trapped. I realize now that before I met my wife, I was already very happy. I really didn't want for anything. My business was going really well and I enjoyed my life very much. I got married because I thought my life would get better and I would be happier. That we would combine the best parts of our life to our mutual benefit, so that our future kids would have the security of two dedicated, awesome parents. But I see now that once we got married, I basically began subsidizing her life. She expected me to do what she wanted and expected me to allow her to do what she wanted. She benefited from a better life and all I got were obligations. That's the most honest way I can put it. The Bible says that it's better for a man to live alone on the corner of a roof than in a house with a quarrelsome woman. I agree. There's nothing I get from being married. I don't need to be married again. Do I miss her? No. Physical intimacy and trust are necessary components of attachment for me. Common, I think. And ease. I didn't have either with her. I had the opposite. I felt inadequate. Like I was always trying to hit a target that she kept moving. I never felt that way in my life before her. And part of me realized that she wanted it that way, so that the focus would be on me instead of her. That's not love, that's evil. So no, I don't miss her. I feel like a better man now. Am I still dating the colleague from work? We haven't slept together in a few weeks, but we still hang out and I enjoy it. I would call us friends. Well, OP, I gotta say, it sounds like you are somewhat in a better place while going through this whole divorce. That whole rant you did about marriage and what you see in your buddies' marriages and their wives and how they're treated and all that and how they feel trapped, that's the only part that to me sounds like you're still hurting, which is of course obvious. I mean, what your wife did to you absolutely sucks, but that doesn't mean that every marriage is exactly like yours. And what you're seeing in other people's marriages, that might well be projection and not exactly what is really going on in their lives. I think that what you went through, which was horrible, did make you a little bit of a cynic towards marriage, which is a normal response, of course. I'm not blaming you. However, I wouldn't totally discard marriage in the future. Maybe you meet someone that's actually a good person and good for you, and she helps change your mind. But of course, you guys know that that's just my opinion. What do you guys think about what's going on with OP right now? And so we've reached the end of the video. I truly hope you guys liked it. If you did, go ahead and click like. Of course, don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Also, here are more videos from my channel that you might enjoy. And having said all that, I will see you guys on the next video.